All right, so here we are with part 4. Welcome aboard. First clip up for you, more 5,000 count boxes. These are ones that we actually found while we were there. They were not assembled yet, and kind of a neat little find that I had early on just because, well, you need a lot of boxes to put the loose cards in, and what better than a 5,000 count box, right? So you got some 80s Donruss in there, and then some 60s Topps issues. Looks like 64s peeking out there, some 67s here in the back. Kind of go along. These are cool here. I remember us putting these in this box. So these are like little playing cards you can see kind of on the back. And what you would do is you would draw these from a deck and play a simulated game like that. So I draw this one, my batter has 1 ball. Now it's 1-1. And then he fouls out, so I have 1 out. And you can kind of play a game like that. I have a deck that's more modern over there. Based on the number of cards there, I would guess this is probably like half of a deck, but really cool nonetheless. More 64s and 67s, probably a lot of those in there. Here is, what is this? We got some Fleer and some more, that looks like 78 Topps. This looks like some 91, 92 Leaf kind of mixed in, some Upper Deck I can see peeking out in the back. There's a little bit of vintage football that must have snuck its way in here. There's some 59s that are in the mix, a few 58s, 53 Bowman Black and White, Andy Pafko. Oh, Gary Ross wants to keep getting in his way, but Andy Pafko there, card number 1 in the 52 set. There's some 65s in here, some decent names. Hall of Famer Jim Bunning on top, some more playing cards there. Here's a Willie Mays Deco Edge. Nice one to cut to there. And then you've got, I don't know what those are. Yeah, I don't know what those are off the top of my head. I have to take those out and take a better look. And then you got some more oddball issues. Again, more playing cards in here. This looks like an entire team set. Twins team set. Perhaps this might be even a minor league one. I have to take a look at that here in a moment. A little bit of basketball mixed in. But yeah, more good stuff. And then 91 Upper Deck all throughout that row. So whenever you see one of these boxes that have no markings on them, and it's one that we put together, it could be anything in there. We're kind of just, hey, if there's a loose pile of cards, bunch them up real quick, put them in the box, and fill up the box, stack them up, get them on the truck, and then move on to the next one. Yeah, so you'll see quite a bit of that as we kind of go through some of these larger boxes, but let us see what else we can find. Here's one I bet you guys don't have in your collection. How about this Richie Ashburn here? This is a black and white card, and you might be wondering exactly what this is. Well, I say you don't have that in your collection because it's a Carlsberg business card. Dave's dad, as he told us, was a huge fan of Richie Ashburn. So there you see the front. Here's the back. It's got some personal information down below that I just won't show. I know it probably doesn't matter too much, but just in case. You see baseball memorabilia cards, statues, and pins by Sell Trade. So that's pretty cool. When I was first starting, I thought about doing something similar with like a Miguel Cabrera card and then putting like my information on the back, but never got around to doing it. But yeah, neat little personalized touch on the old business card. What a roller coaster of emotions right now. It is Wednesday, August 23rd. I'm starting to burn the midnight oil here. And one of the storage totes that I'm working on right now has a lot of Perez steel items in it, trying to get some of those fished out of that storage tote so I can start going through them and listing them. Just trying to list like things. And one of the ones that I found yesterday was the sets was opened up. So I went through it and made sure that they were all there. I just like to do that with these sets to double check and make sure everything's there before I go to sell it. And sure enough, I go through these boxes today. The very first box I open up is this one right here. This Great Moments 3rd edition. Here's what I'm greeted with on top, is this Bobby Doerr. Bobby Doerr was a great TTMer for many years. I've had many of his autographs in my time, and I know it's a good signature. I've seen plenty of Bobby Doerr stuff. And that kind of led me down the rabbit hole of, okay, if this Bobby Dorr is here, who else might be in these boxes? So that sent me down the rabbit hole looking through all the other ones, and you'll see here's Willie Stargell. Just beautiful big blue signatures. Billy Herman. There's Lefty Gomez. For the sake of time, I won't go through all of them. A lot of these are going to be sold the day after I'm recording this on our live sale for the lower tier names. Just because the authentication fees, like I can look at them, and Mike and I are pretty good at Hall of Fame autographs. He's far superior to me in terms of his Hall of Fame autograph knowledge, but I looked these up. I compared them to ones that I've seen in the past, ones that I've owned in the past. They look good, but there are two that for sure need to be slabbed up and authenticated. And I'm going to show you those here, because these caught me by surprise, because these are all mixed in. Like, there's some unsigned ones that are in here, and you'll go through a whole box and there won't be any that are signed, and then there's only one that's signed. Well, you just kind of thumb through them, and sometimes you find a name like Mickey Mantle. How crazy is that? This is incredible. Now, Mike and I were a little, I should say Mike was a little concerned about the M's here on Mantle. My first glance at it, I thought it looked pretty good, but looking at some of the other ones out there, it matches up pretty well. So like I said, this is going to be sent off. Just, I want to have peace of mind on this for sure, as is the case with this one too. How about this Hammer and Hank? Beautiful. This one I am far more confident in. I can tell you that's a good Hank Aaron autograph. But we're going to send those in. It's PSA DNA here. But I was blown away when I found these two. I mean, crazy. And all these other ones in here, there's some solid names. They're not crazy expensive autographs. A lot of these guys sign quite a bit, like a Monty Irvin, but just they're so well done and so beautiful that these are going to be some great pieces for some collections out there. Now, one of the things that also kind of tipped me off that these are good is that if you look at the serial numbers here, they all match up on these series of boxes, which is a good sign. If these all came from various different places, then that might be a sign that some are good and some aren't, or at least that would open the door to that. And if you look on the back, like for example, the Mantle serial number matches up. So when it has this sticker on the box, all of these share the same serial number. It's not something like a Topps Transcendent where just because it's case number 1 of 100, that doesn't mean all the cards are going to be 1 of 100. Because I've seen them where they're all over the place. But like the Bill Dickey matches up that number, the Bobby Dorr. So just seeing them, and then just seeing the impressions, it's a little bit more difficult to tell on a material like this, but you can see kind of where the pen was lifted up. That means it wouldn't have been a machine sign thing because it's got pressure points. And what I'm guessing, just because of how accessible these guys used to be, and briefly knowing the history of Dave's dad, is that he probably met a lot of these guys on the show circuit and got these signed. So absolutely incredible find. But there's a little bit more to this story, and you're going to see that here in this next clip. Okay, here is where things get really spicy, and you'll see here I have one of these smaller boxes. These are the Hall of Fame postcards. If you watch Mike's channel, you'll recognize these a little bit more clear. But this box was much different than the rest of them. As you can see, it's got some wear to it. It has some tape residue. It's more banged up. And it's got that little sticker on it, and it was a lighter box in general. You know, picking these up, they all feel the same because they're complete sets. This one only had 5 in it, and they were all signed, which I was very interested in. So you have these 2 Buck Leonards, and you have these 2 cool Papa Bells. So pretty cool ones here. But this last one, if you're a Perez Steel fan, your eyes might pop out of your head. About Satchel Paige. Now, through my research and talking with Mike, who is much more up on Perez Steel art than I am, when I showed him this one, his reaction over text was "Holy crap!" And one of the reasons that this one is so coveted out there is that these were produced in 1980 and 1981, and Satchel Paige passed away in the summer of 1982, meaning there was a very small window in which this could have been signed. And again, this is earlier on in Dick Perez's career, meaning that these are some of the earlier Dick Perez items. In terms of just having a Satchel Paige Dick Perez item that's signed, it would be very difficult to find any, much alone one from a set as beloved as this. And if you look up some results, there was one that sold at Heritage Auction back in July of 22, and there was one that sold, I think it was at Clean Sweep earlier this year, that Mike found. Huge premium for these just because of how scarce they are, and it is, and I don't use this term lightly, the grail of autographs for Dick Perez collectors in terms of items that are actually hand signed, not ones where there's cut autographs placed onto the Perez steel, because there are ones out there. I've seen a roof. I think Louisville Sports Cards has a roof. I've seen a Cobb at the National. I saw a Jackie that's listed on eBay. But this page here, when we saw this, I mean, this would have been, I don't know if anything could possibly top this in this collection, just because of its scarcity. Unfortunately, there's a few things about this autograph that don't look good, just in terms of various places where he might loop letters together or letters might intersect one another, like the C and the H right here. But eagle-eye viewers, and I am definitely not one of those eagle-eyed people because I did not notice this until Mike pointed it out, will probably pick up on the one obvious thing right away. His name is misspelled. Satchel only has one L on it. And that's a huge red flag right away. We looked at a lot of different autographs to see maybe, hey, is this a fluke? Did maybe he do this a couple times? I mean, he was older at this time. It was signed within the last couple of years of his life, and couldn't find anything that really matched up to this one. So unfortunately, the verdict on this one is that it's no good. Looking at these as well, the other four, if you look at the serial number on the back, each of the cool pop-up bell and Buck Leonards have they have matching serial numbers. They have this 9,000 of 10,000. It's kind of cool to have an even number like that. Whereas this page, see there, 4425, and none of the other pages that we have, or none of the other sets that we have, match up to that number. So this is the only one from set 4425. And if you remember from the last clip, that was kind of one of the ways that I was able to reassure myself on those other autographs. Well, this is another red flag for these, because if it was from the same ones, then I think there would be a much better chance that this is good. But because it's from a completely different set that has probably been broken up, no go on this one. So, hey, that's a roller coaster, but what an experience it was just to go through all these. And this is why we do it. This was a really exciting part of going through all this. All right, guys, it is Tuesday, August 25th, 2 weeks, I should say, into the basement find, and I have another big one. So I was going through some stuff for the live sale that we did earlier tonight, and I was going through a box that was labeled 80s Commons. I have no idea really what to expect, and I see this peeking out from underneath. Any wrestling fan out there will probably recognize this right away. It is a 1982 Wrestling All-Stars, The Destroyer. And I felt the stack. It's kind of a thick stack, about a deck of cards size. This is card number 36, which is the last one in the set. And I was just hoping that I had a complete set. And I do. So the big cards in this one, of course, the Andre the Giant rookie, the Hulk Hogan, pretty well centered on the Hogan, and then Ric Flair. There's Ric Flair in there. So I'm pulling these aside. These will be sent off to be graded, and these are pretty serious cards. I actually bought a Hogan off my buddy Garrett Card Cutter a couple years back, and they're one of the few cards that's actually gone up since then. So I am very excited to see what these come back as, but this is going to be this is up there among the better finds for sure. Of course, I have the rest of the set too. I don't know what we're going to do with those yet. I'm going to have to consult with Garrett since he is the expert on those, but I cannot tell you my shock and my glee when I found those today. So yeah, not a bad week pulling in Mansell and Aaron autographs, and then Hogan, Andre, and Flair rookies.